Rebirth. What a strange, violent, beautiful word. Rebirth doesn't come wrapped in light or comfort. It doesn't whisper gentle lullabies while rocking you to sleep. No, rebirth is brutal. It happens in the space where your world has collapsed, where every structure that once held you up has turned to dust. But it is precisely in this space of ruin, this cold, cruel void, that something new can be born. Not something borrowed, not something scripted, but something real. Because when everything you once believed about yourself has been stripped away, when your identity is shattered, when your heart has been torn open by pain, that's when the illusion finally dies. That's when clarity walks in, barefoot, bloody, and unstoppable. Because when everything inside you is deconstructed, when your pride is pierced, when your ego is exposed, when every crutch you've leaned on suddenly snaps, you are forced to meet the version of yourself you've never dared to face. The raw you, the one without applause, without validation, without filters. When certainties crumble, when even your name starts to feel foreign on your own tongue. When the mirror stops reflecting the version of you that the world wanted and starts reflecting your essence. That's when you begin. That's the moment the phoenix claws its way out of the ashes. When pain lays you bare, when it drills through every defense, every mask, every performance, all that remains is truth. Not the truth you tell others, the one you sell on social media or whisper to win hearts. I mean the kind of truth that lives in the marrow of your bones. The kind that demands your surrender. The kind that strips you of everything except what's eternal inside you. And at that moment, at that precise point, suffering becomes sacred. It transforms. It no longer feels like punishment. It becomes initiation. The divine right that takes you down to your knees so you can rise, not as a victim, but as someone who has finally met themselves. You see, this is what most people will never understand. That suffering is not a failure. It is not proof that something is broken inside you. It's not the universe conspiring against you. No, suffering is required. Jung knew this. He understood that pain is not a deviation from the path. It is the path. It's not a dead end. It's the door. The entrance to something deeper, something so authentic, so searing, that once you walk through it, you are never the same. The tragedy, however, is that most people never make it to that door. They retreat before they ever reach the valley. They turn back the moment they see darkness. They choose distraction. They choose comfort. They choose noise over silence. Because silence speaks truths they're not ready to hear. But you've made it this far. That means something. That means you've tasted the edge. That means you're not afraid to stand at the mouth of the void and walk in. You are ready to cross over. And that crossing, it isn't clean. It isn't beautiful. It is chaotic. It is violent. It shatters everything you thought was solid. But through that chaos, the real you begins to form. The journey of individuation, of becoming whole, is not glamorous. It's not lit by neon lights. It's carved in blood and silence. It is what finally liberates you, not from pain, but from illusion. Now brace yourself, because here's where it gets deeper. Few people even gather the courage to start this journey, and fewer still complete it. Because the path of individuation does not whisper sweet nothings. It does not flatter your ego. It does not guarantee that you'll be safe, loved, or understood. Quite the opposite. It devours your ego. It burns it to the ground. Jung wasn't lying when he said individuation means becoming who you truly are. But people forget what that really implies. It means unlearning everything you thought was true about yourself. And that unlearning, that's the most painful process of all. Because it's not just about letting go of others. It's about letting go of the image of you that you've clung to for survival. You begin to realize, I'm not my success. I'm not my failure. I'm not my trauma or my trophies. I'm not the carefully crafted version of myself that I wear in public just to feel loved, admired, safe. No, those were masks. Elaborate armor built to survive a world that punishes authenticity. But surviving isn't the same as living. Individuation is life's cruel mercy. It's the call to rise above the shallow waters of performance and breathe real air. It's when the unconscious finally rebels. It starts shoving up everything you've tried to bury. Your shame, your rage, your guilt, your shadow. All of it comes flooding to the surface, screaming for your attention, not to haunt you, but to free you. You see, the persona, that mask we wear every day, isn't your real face. Jung said it was just a tool of social convenience. A mask shaped by what the world wanted from you, not what your soul came here to be. And the time comes when you have to rip it off, tear it away. That's when the pain begins. But that's also when the healing starts. Because what's underneath that mask, that's the version of you that can no longer be manipulated. That's the untouchable version. Not because you don't feel, but because you've already felt it all. You've already walked through hell barefoot. You've faced your monsters. Not in theory, not in therapy quotes, but face to face. You've looked into the abyss of your shame, your neediness, your fury, and said, I see you, and you do not own me. That kind of internal clarity is not common. Most will never feel it. But once you do, once you see yourself clearly in the dark, you gain a power that no one can touch. You stop depending on applause. You stop chasing validation. You stop negotiating your worth. And suddenly, the game changes. You no longer need to win arguments to feel powerful. You don't need every person to love you to feel whole. You don't need to look strong to be strong, because your foundation no longer lives outside you. It lives inside, and no one can take that away. True emotional armor isn't external, it's internal. It's not a thick wall, it's a deep root. It's your center, your core, a place of self, knowledge so unshaken, so lucid, that even when the storm hits, you don't crumble. You may feel the thunder, but you don't break. You may bend, but you never snap, because you've stopped reacting and started existing in your full, integrated self. But make no mistake, depth comes with a heavy toll, and that toll is loneliness. Not because people abandon you, but because fewer people can meet you there. Few can walk through their own darkness, let alone sit with yours. Most are still clinging to surfaces, to masks, to cheap comfort. And when you start to free yourself, you inevitably drift away. But hear this, that distance isn't rejection. It's growth. It's evolution. You're not pulling away out of pride. You're just no longer willing to shrink yourself to fit into cages you've outgrown. The people you used to resonate with might not recognize you anymore. And that's okay. Because your job was never to stay where you were accepted. Your job was to grow, even if it meant growing alone. And here's where we touch the final. Rawest truth, consciousness is your shield. It's not toughness that protects you. It's clarity. The kind of clarity that comes from knowing your insides like a map. The kind that sees through manipulation, through projection, through chaos. Because once you know what lives inside you, nothing outside you can overthrow you. Now that you've come this far, let me tell you something crystal clear. Nothing, absolutely nothing, will shield you from life's suffering if you remain unconscious of your inner world. The words of others will cut, rejections will collapse you, the loss will haunt you until you awaken. And no, awakening isn't magic. It's not lightning. It's not instant. It is a discipline, a relentless, painful, daily discipline. It's choosing to look inward even when it burns. It's saying, I will not run, I will feel, I will face. Carl Jung once said, what you resist persists, what you accept transforms. And you've been resisting your whole life, resisting the fear of not being good enough, resisting the ache of rejection, resisting the silence of loneliness. And what did it do? It wore you down. It left you exhausted. You tried to be perfect. You tried to control everything. You built walls so high, you forgot what sunlight looked like. But now you know. Real strength isn't found in denial. It's found in clarity. Emotional immunity isn't cold detachment. It's deep understanding. When you learn your patterns, your wounds, your reactions, the world loses its power to destabilize you. You'll still feel. You'll still suffer. But you won't drown. You won't disappear. You won't shatter every time someone disapproves of you. And that changes everything. Because the shield is not outside you. It never was. It was always within. Your awareness. The deeper you go into life, the more life reveals its silence, its rhythm, its depth. Those who live on the surface are slaves to every wave. But those who dive, they own the ocean. And that's where you're going now. Because once you begin to live from this space, from presence, from consciousness, from integration, life may still try to hit you, but it can't find where to strike. You've become formless, not empty, but ungraspable. If this video touched something inside you, if something clicked, even faintly, I want you to say it, right here in the comments. Type it out loud, type it with power. I choose awareness. Let's create something rare, a movement, not of fake warriors or loud motivators, but of quiet storm bringers. People who don't just survive by pretending to be strong, but who live with truth, who bleed, feel, and still rise. And don't forget, the next video is not just more content, it's the next step in your transformation. And if you've come this far, you owe it to yourself to keep going. Real transformation only begins when you refuse to stop at the first step. I'll see you there.